He's gardening. One of his favourite pastimes is gardening. I've never heard of a
grows watermelons.
Grows watermelons, sells them on the side of the road. You were telling me. What an incredible story.
Crazy.
He's brilliant. Great character for the sport of track and field, and he's been racing in Australia. What a get.
Okay, final event on the night. It's the Women's 3000 metre Championship of Australia. Jessica Hull will be the favourite here. Rose Davies is the defending champion. Pretty strong field. Jen Gregson on a fast time as she continues her comeback. A lot of the competitors from the World Cross Country, World Championship steeplechaser and Urbacher. Paige Campbell, number 2, is in this field as well. So it's a strong lineup. Got 17 starters. Tanaka of Japan is going to set the pace after running the 800 earlier. Busy night for her.
It's incredible to see an athlete of the quality of Tanaka, Olympic finalist, where she finished 8th in a home Olympics in that 1500 metres, running the 800 here in Australia for training, and then coming back and understanding that getting another run in her legs by pacing our athletes at their nationals helps her also, but certainly will help these ladies.
Got 7, maybe 8 meet records so far. So underway, 7.5 laps, 3000 metre Championship of Australia, and Hull is on the outside and she's going to follow Tanaka. I would imagine the pace has been set up absolutely in consultation with Jessica Hull, and she's going to make sure from that outside starting position that she gets herself into a good position, and Tanaka's doing the perfect pace-making job in making sure that she runs very wide as they come down. So it will be Tanaka, followed by Hull, and then the defending champion Rose Davies. They're the top 3 as they go out of the straight.
Well, Tanaka and Jess Hull were both in that final at the Olympics together, so they know each other, they've raced each other before, and so Jess will have spoken to Tanaka about what she requires. She wants to break the Australian record, she wants to break the meet record, she wants to have a real dip here. She knows that she's in great shape. She ran fantastic leg in that World Cross Country Mixed Relay earlier this year, and then she came back and ran that 1500 metres with such impressive finishing speed when Abby Caldwell, who we now know is in incredible shape with that 158 that she ran this evening, she held her off and won that 1500 metres. So it's going to be interesting to see the time that Jess can put out here.
So they've got a big margin, haven't they? So Tanaka and Hull, and back to Davies. There's a big group behind them. Jen Gregson's in the yellow top. She's about 5 or 6 back. But there's the 2 leaders, and that gap's pretty significant, isn't it? As they come down with 6 laps to go.
It's fast. So Jess is making sure she's right on the heels of Tanaka. Rose Davies is leading that second pack. Caitlin Adams has gone with her. Georgia Hansen. I think there's just going to be a race in 2. These women behind know that the pace that Jess Hull has set is just a little bit too quick for them, so they know it's a national championships and they're going to focus on their own race and see if they can get fast times as well, and just hope. You know, you never know when an athlete targets a time like this, you just never know if it's going to be too fast and they do blow up. So the athletes behind will work together and just wait and see how it plays out in front of them. So
Hansen and Adams were a couple of the World Cross Country Championship representatives. They're in the front of that second pack. So the meet record here is 3:43.14 from Liz McColgan back in 1990. Of course, her daughter Eilish was one of the highlights of the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, Thames, and you were in the stadium. We were back in Sydney just raptured by what we were seeing when she won the 10,000 metres there and hung mum Liz. That was in the pre-Victoria Commonwealth Game, Auckland Commonwealth Games warm-up meet that she set that meet record, and of course Jess holds the national record as well. And the gap is the best part of 45 to 50 metres. Amy Bunnage moving up into 3rd place, followed by Caitlin Adams. Rose Davies just shuffled back a fraction. So Amy Bunnage had a disappointing World Cross Country, succumbed to the conditions. It was so brutally hot, and she went in with such high hopes, and she went out a little too hard probably, and it was a DNF in that race that had so many on their knees at the end.
That's okay, because she's only 17 years of age. She ran the World Cross Country Trials for Australia and won it by over 80 seconds, so she had great high hopes on her shoulders, and they announced her before the race with the top 5 athletes, and you know, she was probably had a little bit of nerves as well, and did attack it to try and get a medal, and just went out a little bit too hard and overcooked herself. But if that's the worst thing that an athlete does in their career, tries to to run a little bit too hard for their ability at that point. It's not something that you should be disappointed in. She's a brave athlete, Amy Bunnage. She's got great talent. She missed the World Juniors through injury, but it's great to see her back out here competing really well, and she's pushing the pace to try and see if they can bridge that gap to get back on to Jess Hull's shoulders.
Great job of pacemaking here. Tanaka, a Japanese Olympic finalist. She's got Jessica Hull right on her tail, doing a good job. Pace is strong. And it's back to Bunnage, Davies and Hansen. Opened up a little bit of a gap. Really stretched out as they're trying to run their own race in second, third and fourth, with Tanaka about to pull the parachute.
I think that she doesn't want to pull the parachute, but I feel like Jess Hull can sense that Tanaka's starting to get a little bit tired and she wants to keep moving at this pace. Jess Hull's spent a lot of time in Australia lately. She's based in Oregon with Pete Julian's group and spends a lot of time with Sonia O'Sullivan helping her out. She wants to try and do a little bit more time back in Australia. She misses Australia. She got married at the end of last year to her now husband Daniel, and she's showing that actually doing a little bit of time back in Australia works wonders for her.
So she's going to have about 1,400 metres on her own here, Jessica Hull. She's going to come down and have 3 laps to go. It'll be 1,200 metres when they hit the bell. Bunnage, Davies, Hansen coming into the straight. So the gap is probably 60 metres with 3 laps remaining. And Bunnage is in second spot. Then Davies, the defending champion. Then Hansen just behind them.
And Radford in that fifth.
Yeah, Stella Radford, the Victorians, having a good race.
Having a great race. Amy Bunnage won the under 20 3,000 metres. She loves this distance. You'd almost guess that it was her favourite distance at the moment. Rose Davies has such talent over the 5,000 and the longer distance, the 10,000. And Georgia Hansen's an interesting athlete. As a junior, she was a great 800-metre runner. She represented Australia at World Junior level. And you just sense with that beautiful style of hers that she can do something great over this sort of 5,000 distance.
And has been an Australian cross-country champion as well. So, of course, Davies won 2 Zatopek. So she's got a good breadth of distances as well. But at the moment, there's one-way traffic. Jessica Hull doesn't get to race in front of a home crowd that often. So they're appreciative of what they're seeing here. It's been a good trip back to Australia. Because as we mentioned, based in Oregon, Portland, this is Matt Centrovitz, and she's going to come down with 2 laps to go. So a World Cross Country medal and a great run in Melbourne, and now looking for a national championship here. And the battle for second, third and fourth is still on, isn't it? And the youngster Bunnage is doing a great job.
And just behind this pack, probably about 30 metres, Stella Radford has really tried to go with it, but she's just starting to get a little bit slow, tire up a little bit. And you can see Jen Gregson's having another race back. She's a little bit further back in about 7th or 8th position, coming back from her baby Archer, who was born in the middle of last year. And she's just trying to get some more racing legs back.
So this is the battle for the silver medal at the moment and the podium, because there's 3 there and there's only 2 spots as we look at Hull, who just, Tamsin, whenever you watch her, she seems to be able to continue a solid pace and then find some more pace. And she's quickened the pace here, I reckon, and she's going to come down, get the bell.
Jess Hull would have to be one of the nicest, kindest athlete on the track. When Abby Caldwell went past her in that Commonwealth Games, she said to her, "I was so cheering for you." She's just not got a mean bone in her body for an athlete who's competing at that competitive level. It's just unbelievable, the personality. You see, she almost kicked then at the bell. She really wants this time.
So the bell, 8:36 is the Australian record. It's on here. Battle is on. Davies, the defending champion, moves up in front of Bunnage and then Hansen. They've got a good gap on the rest as they come to the bell. You can see Hull, eye on the clock, eye on the big screen as she moves down the back straight. She's such a beautiful mover. Starting to get a fraction tired. The cadence has dropped a little bit, but she's going to get a boost with 200 metres to go, because she's going to come around and this crowd is going to give her another lift, and she can pick off some of the back markers as she goes through.
She can, and it's nice to see that they're moving wide for her so that she doesn't have to go off that plinth and make sure that she has the quickest and easiest run for home.
About 25 seconds to the Australian record. Into the straight she comes. Jessica Hull really starting to dig deep now. Grit her teeth, 8:21 on the clock. 8:36 is the national record. It's going to be pretty tight here, but I think she might be able to do it. Here she comes, down to the line. Yes, she smashed it. 8:31.82. Breaks the Australian record.
Incredible run, and Rose Davies has managed to get in front of Amy Bunnage, and they broke free of Georgia Hansen down the back straight. Rose is going to get that silver medal.
What a run. So Davies, gallant defence, but when you're up against one of the world's best, it's a little tougher. The youngster gets on the podium, Bunnage, then Hansen. Fast finish there from Morty Skyring as the rest of the athletes come down across the line, and there's carnage as the athletes have absolutely spent themselves. But what about that run? The splits, Tamsin. 251, 250, 250.
Wow. Okay, anyone who knows distance running, if you're running sub 3 minute K pace and she's just latched a 250,
what about the consistency?
250, 250. Incredible. Even when Tanaka dropped out, and she knew, she pushed Tanaka to the side of the track pretty much just by coming up to the shoulder. She knew that she needed to hold that pace and not let it drop through that really tough phase, and she was able to do it. She's so mentally strong, Jess Hull. What a great athlete.
So 8:31, 8:31.81. That's a serious revision. Smashes the meet record set back in 1990. Obliterates her own Australian record. And when you contemplate one of the performances of the meet, that's up near the top.
And Amy Bunnage has gone under 9 minutes for the first time, which is a great race for the 17-year-old. Good bounce back from her disappointment at the World Cross Country, which is exactly what you want to see from juniors. Not to sit there and dwell on the past and bad races, to refocus and then come back out and do something incredible like she's just done.
So again, the thing that is just so impressive is, well, that pace judgment's extraordinary.
Yep.
Her capacity to maintain the pace under fatigue is the thing. So the question now, 1,500 or 5,000. 5,000 will come at some point.
Yeah.
The speed over the last 150 to 200 in the 1,500 is a challenge that she's working on, but what a season in the summer she's had here with the World Cross Country, that win in Melbourne. And now the Australian record, Matt, that's impressive. Smashed it.
Someone is in charge.
Look, you set yourself up there. You've taken out the Australian record, the all-comers record, the Oceania area record. You've almost knocked them all out.
Yeah, I mean, all thanks to Nozomi. She got out there and made sure that I could run hard tonight and just get the right effort in. And I'm so happy. I kind of thought I would be chasing the record over the last 400, so to kind of come through and know I had some wiggle room, I could just kind of let loose a little bit, and that way if I tied up in the straight, I knew I had a bit of a buffer.
So it must have been very helpful having Nozomi out there to set the pace up.
Oh, big time. And this crowd, like, I had these words in my head that I was going to go to stay relaxed out there, but I couldn't even think of them because all I could hear was the crowd going crazy. So it was a great noise tunnel and a great night to run fast in Sydney.
We've spent a bit of time in Australia this year. You know, you went to Bathurst. How did the body pull up after Bathurst?
Really well. I feel like Bathurst is kind of like the confidence booster for me, in that you've done all the training and early season races, you don't really know where you're at, and then to go and put a good one together out there, I was like, okay, I think I'm pretty fit, and just waited for the right opportunity to test it, and tonight shook up like that.
So where to next for you? Coming back, you staying around for Nationals?
Yeah, Nationals, so up in Brisbane in 3 weeks today, I think, yep.
What distance?
15 and 5 at the moment is the plan, so I'll listen to my coaches on that one, but definitely the 15, and I'd love to come back the next day in the 5K as well.
Excellent. Let's have a big round of applause for Jess Hull.
Well done, Matt. Great to have you trackside tonight. Done a great job down there, all amongst the action. You can go and stand in that queue and sign autographs in the next hour or so. Give a little exit route for Tamsin who'll want to duck out the back. Women's 3,000, Jessica Hull, 8:31.81, Australian record. The defending champion, Rose Davies, won't mind, I don't think, because it was impressive. Amy Bunnage. Is that a PB you said for Bunnage, 8:51.90?
Yeah, her PB before that was 9 flat, so she's absolutely obliterated it. Great run. And she was brave. She took a lot of that lead through the middle phases.
And Tanaka, I'm sure she doesn't want to become a pacemaker just yet, but she did a great job of it, so she did her job to perfection. So we've had 8 meet records. We've had 1 Oceania record, that New Zealand record of 10.97 from Zoe Hobbs.